Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. A very warm good afternoon to one and all. Pushpagiri College of Nursing cordially welcome you all to the second day of the international webinar on innovative teaching strategies. On behalf of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, I, Sister Anu Mary SH, first year MSc Nursing student, extend a warm welcome to everyone. As we begin, let us invoke the presence of Almighty. Let us seek the divine blessings. Now, I call upon Ms. Cecil Sebastian for Bible reading. Over to you, Cecil.
A reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verses 9 to 10. Wisdom and folly. Give to the wise man, and he will become wiser each day. Teach an upright man, and he will increase in his wisdom. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One brings discernment. This is the word of the Lord.
It's my pleasure to invite Reverend Father Ebi Vadakumtala, Director Institutions, Pushpagiri Medical Society. Leadership is not a position or a title. It is an action and example. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So here is our leader, Professor Sister Teresa Saisi, Principal, Pushpagiri College of Nursing, who is a highly dedicated personality, inspire us to learn more and do more. I heartily welcome you, sister. Next, I would like to welcome our dear Vice Principal, Mrs. Ranjini Devi, who is a strong motivator. I welcome you, ma'am. Next, I welcome all the HODs and faculties of various departments of Pushpagiri College of Nursing and other constituent colleges and all the delegates who are attending this webinar across the state, national and international. Now, it's time to welcome today's resource person, the star of the day, Dr. Leda Venkadeshan. I call upon Ms. Asha Jacob to deliver welcome address to Leda ma'am. Over to you, Asha.
Today we have an eminent speaker, Dr. Leda Venkadeshan, Professor cum Principal, All India Institute of Medical Science College of Nursing, New Delhi, speak about virtual reality and patients as educators. She is enriched with educational qualifications of BSc Nursing, MSc Nursing, MPhil in Nursing, PhD in Nursing, PhD in Human Development and Family Studies, and MBA in Hospital Administration degree from reputed and leading institutions in India. The opportunities to function as the Governing Council member, Senate member, Board of Studies and Research member in universities, core committee member of Nursing Excellence of NABH, enabled to contribute towards significant changes and development in the field of nursing. She organized many international and national conferences and workshops and published 172 articles in indexed journals of national and international journals. Presented 180 papers in national and international conferences and authored 4 textbooks for nursing students. It's a pleasure for all of us to have such a great personality. We all are keen to hear from you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for taking out time for all of us from your busy schedule to share your knowledge with us. Now I invite Dr. Leda Venkadeshan to deliver the concept note of the webinar. Before that, I remind you all the participants, we have dedicated time for the questions. If you have any questions, please type it in chat box. We would like to discuss your questions. So I invite Leda ma'am to take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And at the outset, I congratulate Pushpagiri College of Nursing for choosing an appropriate, timely topic to host this wonderful webinar. And I also thank the delegates for encouraging us through your participation. And my special thanks goes to Sony Digil, who is my former student, for taking all the efforts in inviting me and organizing this webinar. And thank you, Sony. I could see the amount of hard work you have placed in organizing this webinar. Thank you so much. So
Thank you,
now,
ma'am.
yes, now we are moving into the topic. Actually, Sony, when she called me, she told, Madam, you can talk on any innovative methods of teaching. The choice is yours. Then I was thinking, what should I speak? The topic must be something new, which you have not heard anyone anywhere. And then the topic must be something which you will be able to use in your setting or apply in your setting. Then I was thinking, what are all the topics I am familiar with? I am familiar with two new methods of teaching, which some of you might have heard, for some of you it might be new. They are virtual reality and patience as educators. Of course, though these two are two different aspects or methods of teaching, but both can be integrated and both could be done together also. That means virtual reality can be done all alone, or virtual reality can be used to invite patients to teach the students. So it is an integrated or related topic. So let us see what it is. Next slide, please. So what are you seeing here? Here, some of you might have learned car driving in Maruti Driving School. You know, Maruti Driving School has got an option. First, you can learn the driving virtually. That means they have a simulator. You can go to Maruti Driving School. You can sit on the simulator. You can wear the headset and you can learn driving virtually. And they have created all the scenarios where somebody will overtake you, where you have to go on a speed breaker, where you have to be maintaining the distance between the vehicle. All the scenarios are being simulated and kept, and you have to learn first the driving on a simulator. So it gives you a kind of experience as if you're driving on the real road. Then they give you the car and they make you to drive on the road. So it makes you to drive easily, learn driving easily, because already through simulation, you have come across the different types of road events which will happen when you are driving. Because people say that when you're driving, never a road is the same. You know, each day it will be a new road only, because the people who are driving are different and the incidents are different. The number of vehicles are different. So they give you a simulated experience, then they take you to the real time driving. So this technology is also applied in medical and nursing education. So let us see how we can use this virtual reality in nursing education, because nursing education involves a lot of so that practice could be done in the simulated world. Then the students can be permitted to practice on the real patients. So that will give them a lot of opportunity to learn, make mistakes, do a trial and error learning, and the patient's safety will be ensured when they learn on a simulator and then they practice on real patients. Next slide, please. So here you will see the 3D images. Both the teacher and the student are wearing the headset, and they are able to see the 3-directional image. You know, so the teacher is able to explain and the student is able to get the real-time experience of the pictures, especially when they are teaching the anatomy, when they are teaching the relationship of body parts with other, the blood supply, nerve supply, and the cross-sectional view, longitudinal view. All those could be taught with the help of the virtual reality. Next slide, please. So what is this virtual reality? You will also be hearing simultaneously a terminology called as augmented reality also. So this VR or AR technology is on the rapid rise, and the companies are using it to improve the human health in novel ways. Next slide. If you look at the roadmap of the educational tool, you know, traditionally the therapy was delivered in an office or in the home in a pretty constrained environment. Whereas in virtual reality, we create environments that will suit the situations. If you look at the left side of the slide, earlier we were teaching only in the classroom. And of course, we had different types of methodologies used in the classroom, like flipped classroom, short videos, audience response systems, virtual classroom, digital badges like that. Then we moved on to simulation centers, where the students learn on mannequins and different types of simulators with 3D modeling, virtual patients, gaming was introduced. Then in the hospital or clinic and independent learning. Or you can also make it as a stages of learning. You can teach in the classroom the theory, then you teach them simulation using virtual reality, and then you take them to the hospital and clinic, and finally they can practice independently. So this is the roadmap of education. So if you look at virtual reality therapy, it is at the second level. Next slide. So virtual reality means it is a computer technology. It uses headsets that will let the learners see, hear, and interact with a 360-degree simulation. So they wear a headset and they will be able to see how you will be seeing when on a real patient. You will be able to hear the sounds like auscultation sounds and know the patient's voice, how they make the screaming during pain, and they will be able to interact with the simulators with 360-degree simulation. So that is virtual reality. Next slide. So here you will see there are different terminologies used. That is the telepresence reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality. So what is this? This telepresence reality means there is no you will see the virtual reality here. Virtual reality means it is the computer simulated environment and it is fully immersive sense controlled by the system, and it blocks of the real environment, and it requires a headset, handheld controller, high quality display, and the example is the company names are being given, and then you can also use it for medical training, education, and entertainment. Okay, so these are the risks are like depersonalization. Like there is no teacher who is teaching you, but you are learning by exploring with the help of the virtual reality. And cyber sickness might come, and the accidents, because you are wearing the headset and you are learning something. So sometime if you're walking and learning, and sometime if you're not aware of the environment, the tripping hazards can happen. Then what is this mixed reality? Mixed reality is hybrid. That is partly they learn on virtual reality and partly real time. So in the real time, they will learn first on the virtual reality, and after that they will learn on the real time. For example, a person has to give an injection. In virtual reality, they will learn on the simulator. Then in the mixed reality, they will be learning it on the patient. So like that, when you have this both combined, then it is called mixed reality. Then augmented reality. What is this augmented reality? In the augmented reality also, it is mainly augmented reality means it is practicing in the real time. But then it will be to certain extent assisted with virtual reality. For example, you might have heard about robotic surgery. Robotic surgery is real time, it is done on the patient, but with the help of the robots. So the surgeon only does the surgery, but then the hands, the robotic hands, which will be used for through keyholes or pinholes, the surgery will be done. So this kind of augmented reality is also possible. So these are all the three different types of methods of learning. Next slide. And here, if you see the in the healthcare market, how it is used. If you see currently, it is valued at more than $900 million field, where AR, VR healthcare is booming. With the analysts, they are predicting much more growth in the next few years, because especially due to COVID, because of COVID, we have started exploring a lot of online methods of teaching because physical teaching is not possible. So it has made us to learn the online methods of teaching, and we are exploring, and now we are comfortable, See, for example, now I am talking from Delhi to Kottayam. And whereas if it is physical, then I have to travel and come. You have to spend um, so this is very convenient. You're able to listen across the globe. You can even listen to the international speakers. So all these convenience we have learned. Next slide. So let us see how it has been used. If you see VR Health, it is a platform which hosts the games and activities, and it uses VR as a form of rehabilitation. So it uses virtual reality for rehabilitation. So the users will be taking up a virtual dragon across the sky to train the neck muscles and expand the range of motion. If you see in most of the virtual reality, it is a therapy actually. They have placed a game, so the participant or the patient will be asked to play a game. So when they are playing a game, naturally the range of motion it is involved. They have to lift their head, they have to rotate their head, they have to lift their hands, they have to walk, they may have to run. So when they do all these, automatically without their knowledge, the range of motion takes place. So that can be used for rehabilitation. So that is what this app says, how we can use it for rehabilitation. And we can also teach the students using this, how you will be rehabilitating people. Actually, towards the end, I will be sharing how we have used virtual reality for various conditions. We have used it for vertigo. We have used it for arthritis. The patients with the arthritis, they may not have moved their joints for several months or years. But when you give this headset and ask them to play the game, naturally, without their knowledge, they are able to move the body part. And slowly you can increase the speed, the range of motion, and like that with the help of virtual reality and gaming, we can improve the health of the people. So that is VR Health making apps for rehabilitation. Next slide. This is SyncThink, detecting vision impairment. Here in this SyncThink, it uses VR goggles with eye tracking abilities to test for visual impairment. So this company's iSync platform helps to test for concussion soon after a person sustains a bad blow to the head. So this iSync even won a breakthrough device designation award from FDA. So with this you can see the ability to move the eyeball. So this is called as SyncThink, detecting vision impairment. Next slide. This is Augmedix AR medical records. Here, if you see, the doctor is using a Google Glass. So when the doctors are using a Google Glass, it gives them a quick access to the electronic health records of a patient. When a patient comes and sits, this Google Lens helps them to view their health record. See how advanced the technology is. So in addition to conveying information like previous visits and current medications, Google Glass also acts as a scribe that records important information from each appointment, consequently facilitating a more natural doctor-patient interaction. It can even scribe whatever the doctor says, it can write. So it makes the job of a physician very convenient and very time-saving exercise. Next slide. This is surgical theater with the 3D surgical preparation. This surgical theater adopts MRI, CT scans, and other 2D medical imaging techniques into a 3D model. The surgeons, they can use then VR to explore and interact with this 3D model to plan a surgery or update a patient on the process. Actually, in India also we have a model called as Anatomage. In Anatomage, we can teach the students the entire body systems and the organs with its relationship with cross sections, and the surgeons are using, they just insert the patient's MRI and CT image into the anatomage model, and they plan the surgery. If there is a after road traffic accident, if there is a bleeding or hemorrhage into the cerebrum, then if craniotomy has to be done, exactly they plan the surgery. Or if there is a brain tumor, they have to excise the brain tumor. Exact planning could be done on this anatomage model. Similarly, orthopedicians, they can see the fracture, they can insert the X-ray and they can see the fracture, and they can plan how they are going to fix the fracture, how implants have to be placed, the size of the implants, everything can be planned. Similarly, gastrointestinal surgeries, it can be by inserting the images of the ultrasound abdomen and by inserting the images of CT scan or MRI, they can exactly plan the surgery. So they will mark the surgical areas, how it has to be approached, and with the millimeter accuracy, they will be able to excise the body part which has to be removed surgically. So that is possible with this surgical theater 3D surgical prep. With this anatomage model also, it could be done. Next slide. So this virtual reality really brings new vision to healthcare. It also helps a mother in labor. How it helps a mother in labor? Labor pain is different than chronic and procedural pain because it is moving towards something positive in the end. So there is a reason the auditory guidance should be different. The mother must be helped to cope up with the labor pain because it is a positive progressive pain. So Wong has used a pregnancy specific product created by a VR company working with the doula. Images included calming scenes like a beach, crackling fire, and the most popular, a tree with leaves that bowed in and out with the wind to help women breathing through contractions. So those images were coupled with reassuring pregnancy specific narration. So these kind of images really helped them to do a kind of imaging as if they are in a beach, they are enjoying good breeze, and it was bringing back the good memories of being in a natural scenario. So this was helpful for them to cope up with the labor pain. You know, they were able to breathe well and they were able to cope up and deliver normally. So the virtual reality can be used for helping a pregnant woman or a woman who is in labor to cope up with the labor pain. Next slide. Next slide. And it also can be used for pain reduction. Here, if you see in a program which enrolled nearly 40 children between the ages of 7 and 23, they were given a VR headset that was covered with the protective gear to cut down on the germs. They then closed between several scenarios, including riding a roller coaster and walking through a jungle and talking with a friendly snake. The headsets were connected to another screen so that the parents could see the image that their children were interacting with. So what you can do is during the procedures, when you're doing painful procedures, you can divert the attention of the children using this VR headset. So they will be experiencing the virtual reality world, whereas you can perform the procedure. Yeah. So this can be used for diversional therapy of children during painful procedures. Next slide. Or even during normal hospitalization, you can use this. So the children will be very cooperative and they will not be complaining about pain, and they will easily cope up with the hospital situation. Then here, if you see, the parents were telling their opinion about this virtual reality therapy. The kids were transfixed and didn't notice their pain. We already have TVs and iPads, but there is something special and different about the 3D experience that immerses them in totally different place in a really powerful world. So the parents were also thrilled because they felt their child was less anxious during the painful procedures. You see, they have compared between the games which are available in the mobile phones and iPads. When they are playing in the mobile phone and iPad, they are aware of the surrounding environment. Whereas in virtual reality therapy, they wear the headsets, which takes them into a different world, you know. So they are not aware of the immediate physical world which is surrounding them. So that is helpful for doing the procedures on children. Next slide. And if you see patient doctors in of ways. Based therapy help to ease pain children and their anxiety during the medical procedures. Some therapy inspired physical therapy and occupational therapy patients to move more. You know, the children with the autism, with the cerebral palsy, and with some of the congenital anomalies. And when they come, you know, it is also useful in physiotherapy and occupational therapy. Next slide. And virtual reality is creating experiences in the clinic that we have never seen before. Because in the clinic, when we are posting the students, you are not going to give them all variety of experience. Some conditions may be rare, some will get the chance, some will not have the chance to perform a procedure. Whereas in virtual reality, you can make everyone to perform the procedure. So that opportunity will be there. And when you give a child a headset and they can play around seeing their own brain, all of a sudden they light up. They treat the tumor like they are an avenger or a superhero going after the enemy. You know, they can also even, my daughter was playing this. One day she was playing a game in the mobile. Of course, it was not virtual reality. But then she was playing that delivery was happening, and clamping the umbilical cord, cutting the umbilical cord, receiving the newborn, you know, caring for the newborn. All those she was playing as a game. So through game, we can really make them to handle the scenarios or the situations. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. And we can also reduce the patient's anxiety. These are all the examples how the patients have expressed that during an IV drip, you know, they will be otherwise concentrating only on the IV drip, looking at when it will be over. They will be looking at whether it is getting this IV line is getting dislodged or not. When they use during the IV drip, you may use virtual reality therapy until the drip is over. They are not going to be having anxiety how the IV fluids are going properly or not. So similarly, you can use it in many other situations where the virtual reality can be used to divert the attention of the patient, especially when I think somebody is keeping their mic on. You can mute them. So you can also use it for chemotherapy.
Steffi, please mute your mic.
Please inform all the participants to mute their mic.
Can you hear me, Miss Steffi?
I think Steffi is keeping, Steffi, Anu, they are keeping their mics on. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So we can use it in chemotherapy. You know, chemotherapy is a bit painful procedure and the patient has to be really cooperating. And if any kind of tissue infiltration it happens, then it is going to leave a mark. It's going to be painful. So you can use virtual reality therapy. So the patient will be immersed in a different world and the chemotherapy can be completed. Next slide. And then this virtual reality therapy is more than an empathy machine. You can become more when you're seeing the patients in the real world. Next slide. So in healthcare, how we can use virtual reality in healthcare? In the healthcare industry, it employs virtual reality throughout its various sectors in order to offer a higher quality of care and efficiency to patients and medical professionals. It is being used in everything from surgical preparation to patient illness, education, and therapy. It can be used for patient education. You can ask them to learn how to self-care themselves. self-administration of injections, and various other therapies. You can give them a real-time experience through virtual reality. Next slide. So this is called embodied labs. So this embodied labs uses VR technology to adjust what wearers can or cannot see and hear. You can adjust what they have to see and what they should not see and what they have to hear. You can also do it in a stepped up manner. You can escalate. You can teach one by one, suppose if you want to teach about the breath sounds, then you can teach one sound at a time. And you can also regulate what they should not hear and what they should not see, so that they will have focused experience. So that is how they can use this embodied labs. So it is just like a real life. At one point in the story, wearers are filtered with the hearing aid, which makes an immediate difference. So like this embodied labs can be used. I don't think in India anywhere it is there, but I think in overseas they have this one. So they give a kind of spatial sound, a spatial experience, I think many of us have visited the planetarium. So they give us this 3D glasses, headsets. So it makes us to have a space journey. So a similar kind of labs can be used even in healthcare, where they will be experiencing one learning at a time. Next slide. This is a hype cycle. This hype cycle provides a framework for thinking about the life of certain innovations. It is an analytical model developed by the information technology research and advisory firm Gartner Incorporated to conceptualize where the emerging technology is in the developmental continuum. It describes 5 phases representing the development, adoption, and spread of specific technologies. Next slide. If you see here in this hype cycle, it is explained how the hype cycle is used. This model has been applied to education with hype cycle for education tool developed at the University of Minnesota. This is community sourced information about technology in higher education. This tool allows users to learn and monitor new academic technologies, share experiences with these technologies, and innovate by adopting newer technologies or applying new techniques. The ultimate goal is to improve strategic decision making regarding financial and time investments in technology. If you see here the graph, you can see the time taken and the visibility. The graph is drawn between the visibility and time. So you will see the technology trigger, the peak of inflated expectations, and the trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and the plateau of productivity. So like this, you will get a graph how your learners are using the technology and how much it is helpful for them. Finally, how much productivity happens because of using the online tools. So it comes like a graph, how beneficial it is to the learners. It comes in the form of a graph. So that is the advantage. Next slide. But there are certain challenges because it is all technology based, so there are certain challenges. When you were hearing all these methods itself, you might have heard that, oh, we are not practicing this. Where is it being practiced and how costly it will be? What are all the equipments required? Will I be able to use it? Do I have the skills to utilize these technologies? Is it going to have any side effects? Is it going to affect my health? Like this, various questions would have arisen in your mind. Of course, all those are true. They are also the challenges when we want to adopt the technology in education and healthcare. So if you see monetary and funding issues, one thing is all these equipments involve certain cost. So who will invest? Is it going to be the educational institution, or is it going to be the student? Is it going to be the teacher? Who is going to invest the money? Ultimately, we have to arrive at the cost issues of purchasing the equipment and designing. Programming also requires, you have to program an event. For example, if you want to teach a student how to give intramuscular injection, then you have to build the program in virtual technology, in virtual reality. So who is going to do this designing, developing the software, developing the games, or whatever it is, and the equipment? So all these have to be worked out. Of course, there are technical limitations, because once I was partnering with the company, which they said they will be able to help in developing the games. Then I thought the CPR can be taught through games. So they brought an artist who will draw the diagram, then that will be animated, and the students can play the game and learn the CPR. It will give them real-time experience. But then, when the artist has drawn, he was using this compression. The hands were compressing over the extreme lower part of the sternum, that is over the epigastric region. So instead of compressing the heart, then they will be compressing the stomach. The patient will further vomit, and it will cause aspiration and make the life difficult. So it is very difficult to make the persons who are creating the technology. People are not the doctors and nurses. The technical team will have artists who will create the diagrams, and there will be the IT people who will make it animated, and software, hardware, all are involved. So it requires a lot of group effort. So that is why all these therapies, virtual reality therapies, the games, all are very expensive. So a simple CPR method, which I wanted to create like a game, they said it will involve a cost of minimum 5 lakhs. So how we are going to develop that and all is a limitation. So already pre-developed one we can buy and use it. That will be an easier one. Then clinical organizational issues. No, you have to really, the method of therapy. For example, you are going to teach them how treatment is done for a myocardial infarction patient. You want to treat through virtual reality therapy. A patient comes with MI, and 1, 2, 3, the care has to be given, prioritization, all those you teach. But it varies from hospital to hospital, from physician to physician, and according to the patient, the therapy differs. Some may require thrombolysis, some may not require. It differs. So this clinical organizational issues will happen. Then lack of knowledge. We need to have complete understanding about the concept or the theory or the disease condition which we want to teach to the students. Until unless we have complete knowledge and complete skill, then it is very difficult to teach them through virtual reality. Then regulation, resistance, and market forces. Regulation is also there. Everything cannot be taught. There are laws which are guiding it, and sometimes there will be resistance. The older generation people, they will say that, oh, I am a best teacher, I can teach them directly on a cadaver or directly on a patient. What is this virtual technology? Like that, there's some kind of resistance will be there, and even students may resist that. They may say that it is very tiresome, it is straining the eyes, and it is all dramatic. So this kind of resistance and feedback you might get. But in spite of all these challenges, still this virtual reality therapy is a good one. Take my first example, where you learn driving on a simulator, sitting inside a room. You face the challenges which will happen when you're driving on the road. Then you're facing the real road. So that gives you a kind of calculation, a kind of assessment, a kind of problem solving and decision making ability. So that way, this virtual reality therapy is definitely helpful. It will give them a trial run. Of course, definitely it is not a replacement for the real-time experience, especially in healthcare. They cannot learn the surgery only on virtual reality and directly go and perform on the patients. So they have to learn on virtual reality, then they have to learn from a senior, then only they can practice independently. So every procedure cannot be learned only through virtual reality. Of course, it gives them a feel of the procedure. So that only for that we can use it. Next. these are all the research which I have done personally, of course, along with my faculty members and students when I was working in Apollo College of Nursing. There we purchased the virtual reality equipment. It had that Xbox, a gaming box. Already games are available, already pre-developed games which we have used, and we have customized it for different conditions. And there was a sensor, and the headset was there. Headset, sensor, and the Xbox, which is a gaming box, and a TV or a big screen, projector screen you require. So with that we have used, so even I was playing some games, when I was using this virtual reality therapy, it was like a ride, you're riding on a boat. So the waterways you're riding. Suddenly the boat goes up, goes down, and there is a curve. You have to turn this way, that way, you have to lift, When I was playing the game, I realized that I am moving all the joints of my body. I was moving my head, I was moving sideways, I was moving upwards, I was moving backwards, and then I was lifting my head. Some places I was running. This kind of games are there. Then I realized which are all the joints I was able to move. At one point of time, I was not able to lift my hands above my head level. That is when I realized that all these days we were not doing these kind of exercises. So by playing the games, we were doing the exercises. So that was very nice, very beautiful, and we really enjoyed. And it keeps some targets also, within how many minutes you have finished, within how many seconds you have finished, how others are playing this, and how the other world records. Like that, it gives you the scores. Feedback is given. So you're motivated. Okay, this time I have taken 10 minutes to play. Next, I will reduce it. Within 5 minutes, I should be able to achieve the targets. So like that, without our knowledge, the speed increases and the interest keeps us focused on the physical activities. So if you see here, effectiveness of virtual reality therapy on stress among post-LSCS primary mothers we have done. And they were able to manage the pain. And virtual reality therapy upon the cognition of schizophrenic clients, cognition of old age people, and the attention span among secondary school students. Effectiveness of virtual reality therapy upon the stress among the nurses. It reduces the stress. You can use it during break time. You can have it in the nurses' restroom. The nurses' lounge where they have lunch and their refreshment. There you can have 5 or 10 minutes. They can have this game that will really make them refreshed, especially during this COVID time. It's very much required. And it was also used for cancer patients, and then it was used for yeah, I think twice I have pasted. So like this, it can be used for arthritis, it can be used for insomnia, it can be used for vertigo, and for multiple conditions you can use this virtual reality therapy. So by playing the games into a virtual world, that will make them forget the real world, and they will be doing the physical activity, and it will give them the feel. The noise will be there, noise of the breeze, noise of the water, noise of animals, noise of creaking sounds, this, that. No, it's really enjoyable experience. Children will know this better. Many parents have given this Xbox and sensors at home for them to play. So adults also can play for therapeutic reasons. Next slide. This is another methodology, that is patients as educators. Now you see, we are not able to post the students in clinical area. But then the students have to learn, so how to give the clinical experience. This is an alternative method for clinical experience. Especially the patients who are diagnosed with the chronic illness, they will be able to share their experience. You talk to any diabetic patient, they will be having knowledge better than any of the experienced doctors. Of course, definitely not more than a diabetologist, but then they will know because they suffer from a single illness, and they explore, they Google, and they learn. They talk to the friends who are suffering from similar illnesses, and they have variety of information, experience, knowledge, tested methods of effectiveness. So they will be able to share. So what we did was, I just tried this. This is a new methodology which is coming. Suppose if you want to teach the what to say, post-operative care. person who underwent recently the surgery or sometime before, you call them and you tell them how was their experience, how they were pre-operatively prepared, how they underwent the surgery, and how was the post-operative period, how was their pain, how much time it took for them to come out of anesthesia. And when were they ambulated? When they were able to take the normal diet? How did they progress for taking normal diet from fluid diet to the normal diet? And how the sutures were feeling? All these they will share with the students, how it was, so that makes the students to understand empathetically, okay, a patient is suffering like this. This is how we have to give the care. And the patients also will say that, what did they expect from the nurses? What did they expect from the doctors? Did they meet the expectations? Or how they would have done in a better way? All these the patients will be able to talk. So it can be used for patient satisfaction, patient feedback, at the same time for teaching the students. So this we have done it. Next slide, please. This concept of learning from patients has emerged recently, shifting the focus from learning professionals as role models to the relationship between student and patient. And here the patients provide the reality of practice for students' encounters with patients, which will help students to integrate their academic learning to a real life context and thus improve the quality of their clinical learning. Next slide. So if you see, this is the study of the results which were conducted, in which we have brought the patients suffering from chronic renal failure. We brought few patients to the classroom. Of course, this was done before COVID. So we brought the patients into the classroom. They were interacting with the students. They said how did they felt when they were diagnosed as chronic renal failure. And then when they were asked to go for dialysis, how they felt, how difficult it was dialysis, what are all the coping strategies required, how they were able to have the food, how the family support was there, how long they have to spend, how frequently they come for dialysis, and how painful it is, and how long the catheters are being kept. So like this, they shared their entire experience. So when we saw that, naturally, we taught about chronic renal failure to the control group of students, and then to the experimental group of students, we taught about chronic renal failure, and then we brought the patients to the classroom and asked them to explain. And when we have done the post-test, really the scores were very high in the post-test, and more than the scores, the students were so happy. The level of satisfaction of the students was very high. They said, we are able to interact with the patient. Like this, you can have different methods of teaching, so that the learning will become more interactive, more participative, and interesting for the students. Next slide. So to conclude, expert patient teaching can be a promising nursing education modality for developing good learning outcome, and involving patients as educators has important educational benefits for learners. It can be concluded that patient-centered learning was effective on learning behavior of nursing students. Therefore, patient-centered teaching involving patient as educators can be incorporated as a regular method of teaching. And of course, you may be wondering that, is it possible in every situation? Will they bring infection to the classroom? Now you can ask the patients to talk virtually if you're having that concern in your mind. And you may think that who will pay for the transportation of the patient? Will the patient ask money for teaching? So these are all the doubts which may arise in your mind. But you see, the patients do not expect money. They are very happy to teach the students because they think that it will be helpful for some other patient who is suffering like me. And of course, you can think of paying them a bit of remuneration if it is possible. Even otherwise, the patients are willing to share their experience and teach the students. So these are all the two methods of teaching which I wanted to share with you. One is the virtual reality, where you give the students and the patients an experience of the real world, So these are all the innovative methodologies which I thought I will share with all of you. I hope you enjoyed my session, and I can stay for maybe another 5 minutes to answer the questions, because at 4 o'clock I have another important meeting. And thank you, Sony and Pushpagiri College of Nursing, all the organizers, for inviting me to talk on this very interesting and important topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Really,
Yeah.
it was so informative. Now it's time for the participants to explore Leda ma'am. Now I hand over the mic to Soni ma'am.
Somebody has asked, Madam, is it possible to display at least one VR intervention that you have used in your studies? Yes, actually it is a game, you know, you require that Xbox and the TV screen and the glasses. Yeah, so I have shared in which are all the conditions it is used. But then, you know, it requires the equipment and demonstration. It is not possible here to show. Yes.
Leta ma'am, one more question
Yeah.
from Sister Serena.
Yeah.
Virtual reality set, is it commercially available?
Yes, it is available. It is available. Earlier, no, we were doing this research 10 years before, almost 10 years before. That time we have spent around 35,000 rupees to buy the Xbox sensor and all. I think Sony, when you were there, I don't know whether you were using it. Yeah,
No,
we were
just
using
when actually when we were just going out, only that set came in.
set came. So we used for hypertensive clients, we used for diabetic clients, even for faculty, we were using it for relaxing, you know, for exercises. So, you know, it costed around 35,000 rupees, but now I see it is very cheap, you know. It is available for even lesser prices, 5,000, 6,000 also you get. Yes.
Participants, any other doubts? You can ask directly also.
Ma'am, how does Google Glass work?
Google Glass, I think I haven't personally used. I just picked up there. This Google Glass, no, when you see the patient, then you get all the information. You know, maybe the Google Glass is showing to the doctor about all the patient records and all the informations. You know, Sundar Pichai has launched it. You can see Sundar Pichai's session in Google Glasses. Yeah.
Okay. So, ma'am, I want to know that is there any camera in Google Glass or how does it? How was it mechanics?
I'm really sorry. You have to explore and learn in Google. Yeah,
thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I do not have personal experience. I just mentioned that these are all, even Google Glasses are used for creating real world experience for the students to learn.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Any other queries? Ma'am, such an informative session. I think
Thank you.
most of them don't have or they are not used to this virtual reality.
Yes.
So it's something really
Now it
innovative.
is becoming very popular in overseas. There are many universities which have made it as a regular method of teaching using VR. And here this Anatomage 3D imaging models are all there. It's there in every medical college now. Many of the medical colleges they have, AIIMS Rishikesh, they have this even in College of Nursing. So they were teaching anatomy through this 3D modeling, you know.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Any other queries?
I have 1 more minute left to answer. Of course, you can share my email ID and they can mail me.
Okay, ma'am, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We are so thankful to you, ma'am, especially me, privileged
Thank
to
you,
be a
Soni.
student of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I know you are busy schedule.
Yes. Hardly any time was there to prepare the slides also. Yeah.
But it was so informative, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now as there are no other queries, I hand over the session to Sister Anu.
Once again, I thank you, ma'am. So I think that everyone is clear with the two topics, that is virtual reality and patients as educators. As we have come to an end of this webinar, I request Ms. Preeja Ponnapan, first year MSc Nursing student, to conclude this webinar with a vote of thanks.
Yeah. I'm just logging out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
A warm good evening to all. On behalf of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, its entire fraternity and the organizing committee, I feel immense pleasure to take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank Almighty God for making today's webinar a great success. On behalf of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our eminent resource person, Dr. Leda Venkateshan, Professor cum Principal, AIMS College of Nursing, New Delhi, to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your inspiring and knowledgeable words. I am very happy to express our sincere thanks to the management, Pushpagiri College of Nursing, for the support and guidance. A special thanks to Reverend Father Ebi Padakumdala, Director Institutions, for providing immense support for making the webinar a great success. Thank you, Father. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our beloved principal, Professor Sister Therese SIC, for awakening the passion and decide to support us as a ladder to reach the pole of success. Your constant encouragement has helped us to make the webinar a great success. Thank you, sister. A special thanks to our Vice Principal, Mrs. Ranjani Devi, for her unstinted support. My heartfelt thanks to our organizing secretaries, Mrs. Matthew Sodi, Associate Professor and HOD of Nursing Education Department, and Professor Vinita Jacob, PJ Coordinator, for the solid support and timely monitoring in every aspect of this webinar. It's my pleasure to thank Dr. Santosh, Principal, Pharmacy College, for providing Zoom platform for our webinar. And I thank Mr. Marvin from IT Department for the technical support. My heartfelt thanks to all the teaching faculties and non-teaching staffs for your support. It's my privilege to thank all the participants for their willingness and involvement to take on the completion of the event beyond their comfort zone. Your presence and contributions make this webinar a great success. I specifically thank everyone for your attention and enthusiasm. Heartfelt congratulations to the organizing team, the masters of the ceremony, for your hard work. I mention my deepest sense of appreciation and express my sincere thanks to all the first-year MSc Nursing students, Pushpagiri College of Nursing, to make this webinar a memorable one. Once again, thank you, everyone.
Now the feedback link is being shared in the chat box. And also Lata ma'am's email ID also we are sharing. Tomorrow's session will also be at the same time. We have a speaker from Oman, Dr. Jayashri. So kindly be on time. And thank you, participants, for keeping your microphone mute.